of you may have heard of this. And for those that have not, you may fall out of your chair. So please hold on to something so that you don't. This says luxury brands bet on $160 lipsticks and $1,400 accessories to combat industry slump. It says the diversification comes as the luxury sector grapples with an industry-wide slowdown, U.S. tariffs, and wider cost pressures. So obviously the luxury industry, we're talking about luxury fashion brands. Think about Louis Vuitton or Hermes, right? Think about very high-end clothing and goods. It says, and while let's see. This is talking about, so I guess it's Louis Vuitton in particular that is now trying to sell $160 lipstick. From what I understand, that's for one. And it says, and while the signature scented lipsticks don't come cheap at $160 a pop, it indicates a wider shift among luxury players trying to get more shoppers through the door without diluting their flagship offerings. So what's happening here? If you're Louis Vuitton, you sell very expensive bags. And you say, okay, and other leather goods, right? And you say, okay, well, we're really good at this bag thing. And inflation has hit us like everyone else, so we have to increase the cost of our bags. And the sales are going down. Not everyone wants to get these. So we're so good at bags, and this is what they're not doing, but they could say, well, we're going to make some cheaper bags. And when I say cheaper, right, assuming they're selling $10,000 bags, they may say, we're going to sell a $500 bag. But there's a problem when you're a luxury brand in doing that. Because now everyone can buy a Louis Vuitton bag at $500. Almost everyone. Whether they should or shouldn't. Many people will find a way to come up with $500 if they could get a bag that says Louis Vuitton on it. But then what about all the people that paid $10,000? They're not going to like that. And that's the key word that they're talking about here, diluting their flagship offerings. So what are they doing? Well, this is what they're doing. They're introducing new product lines with lower price points. Well, so let's introduce $160 lipsticks. We don't do makeup, but we can do that because we're not known for makeup, and we can charge a low price. And people will buy it because that will be their chance to get something that says Louis Vuitton on it, that is at more of a price point. The value, forget the value, because if you're going to buy whatever lipstick, you can, right? I can't imagine that you're getting $160 worth of value there in just the basic, purpose that it serves. But the value that the customer would be deriving is the fact that it says Louis Vuitton on it. And then everyone that's buying the $10,000 bags can still feel good about themselves, and that there's not some riffraff buying a $500 bag and diluting the brand image. That's what they're doing. It's a smart move on their behalf. And let's get to the keychains, because that's another example of trying to introduce something at a lower price point. You may have heard of LaBuBu. It is these, I might have a picture of it. Yes, I do. Again, we're running a budget operation. I will hold this up. We're not going to waste time with editing. These are keychains. They're little dolls. Some of them are more affordable at $40, but some are several $1,000s. I think they're not much larger than, say, 7 or 8 inches or something like that. And you can hook them onto your bag. That is a LaBuBu. They're extremely popular. The stock's been going up astronomically. I think it's scaled back recently, this week. But they're just keychains. Extremely expensive keychains. And let's see what they say about LaBuBu. Meanwhile, the explosive popularity of the LaBuBu keychains has birthed a new wave of extravagant bag charms. Excuse me, I said keychain. How pedestrian of me. Bag charms. Including from Coach, Longchamp, and the $1,420 option from Louis Vuitton. as brands bet on the treatonomics trend will tempt shoppers to splurge on little luxuries even as they cut back on bigger ticket items. So when you are shopping and you go into the Louis Vuitton store because you want to be cool and you look at all the extreme prices and you say, oh, but I can't spend $10,000. But you know what? I think I could fit $1,400 on my credit card, and that way I can still walk away with something that has the brand name on it. This time around, the luxury industry has been under pressure since 2022 when a COVID-era boom gave way to malaise as customers grew weary of steep and often what they deemed unmerited price increases. So this is just another example, these expensive keychains. And when it comes to the keychains, I remember going to a diner with a friend that was nowhere near any body of water. And I got a crab sandwich. Now, some of you may already realize that this was misguided. And he and I had this conversation about when you go somewhere, you should try and get what they're known for, right? What's their specialty? And I think when it comes to luxury brands, they're no different. You should focus on their specialty. Save your money. If you truly want that bag, if you think that's going to change your life, if you think that's going to bring you happiness, or if you think you're just going to enjoy it and you admire the craftsmanship or what have you, that's nothing against you. But I would suggest saving up for that flagship item that they are known for and not trading down to the $1,400 keychain just so you can have something. Take that $1,400, invest it, grow it, and then use the dividends from that investment over time to then get the flagship item. That's what I would say. It goes on, you also need to connect with the younger generation. You also need to have some offer where you can meet them, onboard them, and then they can go through your value ladder. Yes, okay. So this is another avenue the luxury companies are saying. This is another avenue to get younger demographics, again, without diluting the brand. If you worked your entire life and you've done what I've said and invested your money, and you can now buy the flagship bag, and say you're 50 years old and you've bought the flagship bag, this is what they're known for. You've spent the $10,000. Good for you. And then a 15-year-old walks in and buys the $500 bag with the same logo on it. Well, you're going to have a bad taste in your mouth about the brand. And so that's why they're not doing the $500 bag. That's why they're doing the $1,200 keychain, so that the next generation can get a taste for the brand without harming the image. And then as that person that got the $1,400 keychain gets older, they can then say, well, now I want the $3,000 wallet. And then I want the $8,000 bag. And then I want the $20,000 really nice bag, right? And they get comfortable with the brand, and then they continue to buy. The cross-selling happens. So I would not suggest buying a $1,400 keychain unless that's your thing. Maybe you love keychains. Maybe you love very expensive keychains, which in that case, go ahead, collect all the keychains you want. But when it comes to your purchases, and let's put the luxury industry aside, right? Fascinating story, but let's put the luxury industry aside. When it comes to anything, if you're going to buy something, I try and do this. I try and say, okay, well, what is the brand that is best known for making that thing? And there's something to be said for brand loyalty, and I'm sure several brands do many things well. But I would say I would try and stick to multiple brands and focus on what they each do well, and then buy that thing, as opposed to sticking with one brand for everything, because they may not do everything well. Try and stick with get if you want something, get it from a brand that does whatever that thing is well. is what I'm saying, right? And this doesn't just apply to the luxury industry. This could apply to, I don't know, this could apply to your lawnmower, right? Don't buy a lawnmower from a brand that's known for making Christmas trees, right? It's an extreme example, but I'm sure there's some real life examples that aren't too far away from that. Buy your very nice Christmas tree from a brand that is known to make very nice Christmas trees. Buy your lawnmower from a brand that is known to make the, whatever the best lawnmowers are. That is how I would approach my spending decisions. Not trying to buy a cheaper version from a company, a cheaper version of something from a company that makes something that I actually want, but I can't afford it. So I'm going to get this cheaper thing. I wouldn't do that.